Is that me, Richard?
Yes, it is, Simon.
Okay, jolly good. I've got two here. I've actually got three. I don't know if I've got time for three. See how I do time-wise. First one. The weave of our social fabric is rent by spin. Following the science warp comes second place to focus group weft. U-turn after U-turn, and yet the logic is simple. In schools nor teaching staff to cater for the social distance to which we must be alert. Pedals and treadles for stronger bonds to create a new normal education, a blend of distance learning in Nightingale schools for those who have not the space, the quiet, the hardware, or the weave of our social fabric is skewed by spin. The science tells us of an approaching cataclysm, and yet all the talk as lockdown lessons return to business as usual, which to avoid the uninsurable is not an option as gratification, blind to the resource devastation that our way of life will leave behind. The weave of a new social fabric must harmonize, recognize what our predecessors knew, that we are but guardians for the generations yet to come, and need to weave a new fabric in harmony with nature we continue to destroy. And when the future calls us to account, our failure to stop, take stock of our capital resources and see our unpreparedness to meet the natural shocks held to account, hoisted by its own petard.
Excellent. Has it stopped? Hey, well done, Simon.
Yay!
Well done.
Very political.
We are all stakeholders.
That's
and our
another one from
voices.
you, Simon.
Hello?
Simon, we lost you for about 10 or 15 seconds.
Oh, he's frozen.
Okay. Right, hello, Gwyneth. Ready for another one?
Yeah,
Or two?
Gwyneth,
I've got another
I've got two
one,
here.
if that's
Where are we? You want, Richard, are you wanting me to do my two poems?
Yes, please, Gwyneth.
Okay, here goes. This one's called If Only. How often do we think about the future, longing to return to the comfort of the past, the normal, the acceptable, the well understood, before coronavirus changed our lives? If only we could all strive together, unite against this deadly virus, share our knowledge without fear or favor, to save the planet we share and love. Is this virus just one of many in an uneasy world of growing imbalance between rich and poor, freedom and repression, creeping commerce and the natural world? So that's my if only.
Lovely.
Excellent, Gwyneth. Can we have another?
Right, the second one,
Yes, please.
yes, okay, it's an amended locked in or locked out. I'm still debating whether I've been locked in or locked out. For me, it's a question of interpretation. Not so for the vulnerable in isolated flats, lonely and hungry, but obeying the rules, or the old and homeless in the deserted city of empty shops and locked down hotels. So seeking solace from this world of disease, breathing in the freshness of a lovely spring morning, in the warm sunshine of nesting birds, I discovered in a secret garden the life and balance of spring's rebirth. Absorbing the peace of the natural world, listening to the birds feeding their young, secure in the arms of mature trees, wild flowers spreading through the grass, nothing where they chose to bloom. I was caught in a moment of time, which awakened my senses to all this beauty. So each day, in the freshness of the morning, I return to my secret garden to claim my place in this living world. Right, that's it. It's the only way I stay sane in locked in or locked out, whatever it is.
Are we going to hear Simon some more?
I'm back if people want to, and hopefully it won't break up. I'm not sure how far I got with my first poem before I
We heard your
froze.
first. We did hear your
Okay.
first.
Oh, Simon, perhaps you'd like to read another one
Okay.
then?
It is the
And
end
after Simon, we'll go
of
for Wendy.
COVID May and June beckon.
He is.
What's
And Simon,
Hello?
everybody gets 2 poems.
Carry on.
Have you only read one?
It's already started again.
Okay, seems like we've lost Simon. Wendy, would you like to read 2?
who's going to read one now?
No, it's Simon was reading.
Simon was reading.
Richard.
I'm happy for Gwyneth
Have you
to
heard Richard?
read.
Eva?
Simon was in the middle of saying his poem.
I don't think Richard can hear us. He's frozen.
Richard, can you hear us, Richard?
Right, I've got really bad sound.
I'll type in the chat.
I've also got unstable
I'll
connection.
type in the chat because Simon was reading.
Gwyneth, will you continue?
That's all I want to do
Well,
is
everyone's waiting
hear
for
poems.
Simon.
We can have 1 from Simon or 2 from Wendy.
Okay, I think I'm back.
Let's have Simon, he's back.
Okay. It is the end of COVID May and June beckons ever closer. We have all heard something, we have all experienced something of the new normal and await the app's ubiquities. If I have the antibodies, am I safe without it? Are others safe with me? Can I breach social distance with impunity? And can I then be free of restriction that stops me giving the restorative, the mutually and universally recognized and appreciated, developed by all to be their own, a sharing in a hug? Thank you.
Great, at last.
Nice one, Simon. But we're calling on Wendy Young.
Yes.
Come in, Wendy Young.
Me?
Huh?
Me? Okay, hello
Yes.
everybody. People I haven't met before, but lovely to meet you. First one I
Hi,
wrote.
Wendy.
Hiya. First one I'm going to read. It's just a silly one, really, but it's during the lockdown. It's called Toad of, because I discovered that I can now squat because my knees aren't too bad. Toad of COVID hole. Squatting is the way to go. Avoid at all costs when young. Always paid me rent. Now ask for knees before I bent tentatively. A few degrees, timid, then turbid as a bend in a river, afraid I'd never get up, resembling a bovid. Now I'm a natterjack toad, no two mid-turgid joints. Any chance to squat and stay and rise and low down positions my saviour, genuflecting like a worshipper, highlighting, cranking, crunching, crackling left knee. COVID has taught me, ne'er a slightly bent back toiler be, lift and squat works for me. And this one is, it was a challenge from Richard and Highgate. You would go and choose T.S. Eliot, The Wasteland. I don't know whether it was April is the cruelest month. And so I cheekily wrote something, obviously much better than Eliot's, but anyway. Cruella April, Cruella April. She's the devil, she's the devil. All new shoots and chanty, all let's be spring-like and forget misery, all equinoxing and hares boxing. Well, I hate the new roots, the imaginary promise of life, and happy as Larry of rabbits and flowers and longer hours. Eliot was right. April is evil. We who live for the darkness, who live in the shadows, are banged up in prisons while young uns frolic and the local alcoholic plays his boombox and thinks he's a catch. Springs in his step, and in pigeons cuckooing, shagging, procreating, more vermin on the planet. Try doing spring living next to a basketball court, footballs, not crystal balls, thumping and flying over the wall. Though COVID has stopped it, the MUGA blocked. So at least there's peace while I work from home. I just pray for data, give, Davadvam, sympathise, and Damiata, control. Thank you.
Hey.
And that was just, a stream of consciousness. I didn't even write it, I just typed it into Highgate Poetry Group as it came. But I had to look up the spelling of the thunder from Wasteland at the end.
Excellent, Wendy. Thank you. And if she's sorted for sound, can we have the fantastic Julie Mack.
Yay.
Mack, 2 points.
Yay.
I'm just going upstairs. I've forgotten one of my poems.
Okay, Dennis.
Don't, I'll be back in 10 seconds, unless I fall down the
People have got
stairs.
upstairs here. Julie.
Wow. Please don't fall down the stairs.
Don't please fall down the stairs.
Do you know what I mean? That's where I went as well. Don't fall anywhere. If I
Oh,
move the-
Anne, hello.
Oh, we're going with you.
Yeah, you.
Has somebody taken us to the toilet? Simon, I wouldn't leave it. Leave the thing. Just put it down. Where are we going now?
That's brilliant.
Shall I just keep going? Because we could be
Yeah,
here all
keep
night.
going, Jules.
Yeah, do it.
All right, this one's called Crumbs. Where are we now with our unholy minds and wayward bodies, whose short shelf lives like spectacular stars burn brightly while we dance with death so close? A bitter divorce with me unmade bed, and tired to the very bones of counting cobwebs, I climb these worried walls, wander out to the twilight hours and gather grub, make haste towards a fragile front line where masked creatures monitor me with worried gaze. What kind of care abandons our people within these walls? Casualties of profiteers who promised the world for our families, and friends who were told these homes will harbour your beloved. And with loving hope we cast our elders here aside. I've become a feral forager, offering bittersweet promise of food. I wave at worried faces, pull down my mask and smile. Small crumbs of comfort through the locked glass doors. I wave and wave.
Hey.
That is from doing food drops in an abandoned care home where there was only 2 staff left. Yeah. But they're doing all right now. They're on, you know, the delivery list.
Yeah.
I don't know why they were not perceived as vulnerable in a care home, but they weren't on a delivery list. Anyway, this one, some of you might have heard before. I know you have, Richard, so forgive me. I just feel like it follows that one. We'll come to power in our aging dance, in our awkward gait with life's romance. We'll come to power in our ecstasy when we give up court in agony. We'll come to power when he least expects, distracted by coded intellect. We'll come to power as celebrants. We'll rock and reel in our own sweet chants. We'll come to power, we wise, we small, weakened by warring, we suffer as all. We'll come to power and the world shall heal when the bureaucrats have learned to feel. We'll come to power, we tragic, brave, who'll be ranting and wheeling on your grave. That's for Boris.
Nice one.
Thank you. Thank you.
But we're actually on until 8:30.
Great to see you, Anne Young. I haven't seen you for years.
And so hopefully we'll find time to hear more from you later. Until then,
Time.
who's the next on my list? Michelle
was Dennis, I
Baharier
think.
and Hearts, etc.
Oh, right, me. Sorry.
Oh, is it me or?
Yeah, yes, go to you, Michelle.
Oh, no,
Okay.
it's called Words of
We've
Love.
got confusion. Well, we've got confusion because I think it says Patricia, but it's not Patricia.
No, that's right. It's my wife's computer.
Yeah, yeah.
It's,
So am I going or are you going?
Words of Love. It's called Words of
Well,
Love.
she's asking whether you are going or.
Right, according
Andrew
to
is
my
deciding
list, I've got
who goes
Michelle
ahead.
Oh,
and
Andrew does. Yeah, Andrew does.
Oh, Richard.
Dennis. Michelle and Dennis.
You want
Michelle
me-
first.
Okay, so I'm reading, Dennis. Is that all right?
Yep.
Okay. So sorry if you've heard this one before, but it's about the pandemic, isn't it? So that was the, and I wrote this just before it all hit off. We ain't got a clue. Here comes the plague again. Fire a flea on the black rat's back. Flee today and gone tomorrow. Blessed be the mares from the Middle East. SARS beats the mares. It's a Chinese feast and could even be seen as a beast of the East. Spreads like butter, absorbs into bread, but overtaken by Ebola as it sprints to the front of the race. Here comes the plague again. We think we fall in love, but instead it's pneumonia. Contagious is this lust we call love. Spreads like melted butter, absorbs into toast. Here comes the flu again. And still, we ain't got a clue. As lust has no barriers, let's swing with the swine flu and tap to the West Nile virus and go rah-rah to Disney measles. Don't forget H19N1, Bavarian flu. Or that with just one prick on a spinning wheel, you too can transfer HIV or AIDS. Lusty encounters and intravenous use. Thought you were in love, but instead you had pneumonia. Here comes the plague again. Or Dracula's love leaves you living in a coma. Don't name your virus after my corona. Beers, cheers. Or the bottles of limeade, cherryade, orangeade, cream soda with ice cream, and White's lemonade. And you got your money back on all the empty bottles. Yes, White's Association. Here comes the plague again. Looking for new friends on the underground, disguised as a flu, and we ain't got a clue. Please, pass the glue. I'll have a Corona. Thank you.
Yay!
Right, and then thank you. So I hope you like that one. And then I've got one I wrote today because I'm trying to think about it kind of, because for me, my partner went into hospital, so it's been a bit of a roller coaster. So here we go. Everyone wants to hear the voices of lockdown. Everyone wants the survivors and suffering of lockdown. The climbing of the walls to get outdoors, to find that the toilets are shut. And well, where are you going to go, wee, all the way home? Lockdown. The negative, the victims, the starving children, the abused wives. Forgetting domestic violence is in all relationships. Oh, and don't forget, 60,000 dead. Journalists are looking for headlines of illegal raves. Disabled people are looking for direction before leaving their silos. I'm just happy you survived, but anxious about any second wave. I'm just anxious about all that. But depression has taught me, don't bang on about the gloom. Sing, staying alive, or staying at home, staying alive. And dance round the living room because no one's looking, and because the pandemic will send you manic and give you a panic. Yeah. Thank you.
It's okay, he kept us waiting. He went upstairs. He found another poem. At his home is the one and only Mr. Denis Herbstein.
Okay. Well, as I was saying before 3 times, it's called Words of Love to My Life in a Pandemic. Actually, it was her birthday on the 21st of March. March? Yes.
May.
Oh, May. May. Okay. And this is a bit of doggerel, really. You can see it whichever way you want. You decide. Shall we turn on to the wireless for the latest on the virus? My pretty little Iris, you and your admirers. Here's a word about pandemic, from the Greek for stratospheric, that blew dear cousin Eric into the deep blue sea, to be saved by deeds Homeric. There's a strongly perfumed vaccine, a favourite of Auntie Eileen, which mixed with nitrochlorine, she sends to Donald Trump, whose electoral prospects are beaming. There's a rumour in Wuhan that they found a little man punched drunk in the park after eating barbecued aardvark, which he swallowed for a lark, having reached his 80 span. Hey ho, this chap from Eton School, bit of a damn fool, idle, overweight, with a spate of siblings that he manufactures faster than much sought after masks or an al dente Italian pasta. Will you now rise? Here cometh the science. Worthy troopers fleeing the laboratory in defiance of all logic, singing in disharmony, like the East Cheam Philharmonic. They tell us when to sneeze into the breeze. And if unusually prone, please don't dry cough into a care home. My friends, blame Bolsonaro or the tiny tot in the White House throne. But hey, we're more capable of bollocksing it up on our own. Thank goodness here, the gladsome gardener. Happy birthday and all my love, Patricia. Please keep digging as I ever shall. And this one is, it's called Whoever Writes the History. The most miraculous things our leaders have done is not to apologize, to say we should have done this earlier or better or not at all. No sorrow, no humility, only Spartan resistance without the Spartan weaponry. Perhaps among themselves, the facts and the science did sway them, if only from side to side. Clueless, knowing they were not up to it, their souls locked down in pride. Some other job, any other job than deciding the fate of our lives. And when it's ended, poured over, torn apart, the graphs and the stats and the throttled throats laid on the dusty shelves, heroes or villains, whoever writes the history.
Wonderful, Dennis. Perhaps we'll hear some more from you later. Welcome to our latest guest on Zoom, Dr. Chu Goslin, aka Ju 90, who will read to us later. My next reader, though, is Anna Mickiewicz. Are you there, Anna? Oh, there you
Yes,
are.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello. I will be reading 2 poems. The first one is about my favorite character, Socrates, which is always with me in my heart. In this time during pandemic was always with me, the Socrates. Socrates awaiting. How to describe this scene of spring raging with colors? That's impossible. How many impossibilities are here? Socrates saddened, looking at the closed circle of the quarantine. The another one is, that's another poem. It's a quotation from my friend. She used to say one day to me, you know, this time I'm doing coronavirus dance in a supermarket. This time is a bit ironic. So it will be not very sad as previous one. coronavirus shopping time, pirouettes with the baskets, coronavirus dance in a supermarket. Clothes are ready for the ballet, mask on the faces, time for a carnival, time for a Venice. Thank you.
Yay. Right, Hannah, can I ask you if it was your first poem or if you've read two? I've got bad sound here.
That's to me, sorry?
That was two.
That Socrates awaiting. Should I read again?
Two. Yeah.
Sorry? I don't hear you well.
Have you read two poems?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, she did finish in the middle of one. Yes.
That was two
Should I read
poems, Richard.
He's read two.
Yes. There were two poems. I was reading two poems.
Thanks a lot, Hannah. I'm not sure if you've read one or two poems.
Two. She's read two.
Yes.
Two.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. And so my next guest, it is a magical woman, but from an organisation called Magical Women.
Well, it's not an organisation. That's the thing. It's just me, and
Oh, it's not an
everyone is
organisation.
contacting me all the time.
Right, okay, so tell everybody about it and then read me two poems.
Okay. Hi, I'm autistic and have ADHD. Richard invited me to Disability Arts Online's, oh, when was it? That exhibition that we all, that I listened to Julie and everyone. Anyway, Wendy invited me to Survivors. I've been once in real life and once on here and now once here at Highgate. Thank you very much. Magical Women is quite revolutionary, I think. It's I'm leading it and I would only ever think of that if it were not for Colin Hambrick and Trish Wheatley, who really we've got two people in this group who who applied to the writing course. I'm leading with neurodivergent writing skills and tools and we will be doing open mics throughout the summer and September, and I'd love the Survivor poets to not only feature but to also run it, support running it with me. So anyway, I won't. My poems can be a bit long, I'm really sorry, and they can also not always make sense because it's just stream of consciousness. But here we go. I also get lost on the computer, so I'm sorry about this too. Okay. I am not a survivor, I'm just still here, inside a burning building, inside a burning heart. The doctor, he said this morning, you'll have to go to the A&E, the outpatients are closed, they've stopped the visitors, they've stopped the specialists. So I'm in bed waiting to be allowed to be free. My life source is pouring out of my body into yours. My neighbour doesn't get his weekly visit because I am now shielding. I hear the women visiting him, they have the money to buy him food, but I can only offer him a sense that I am being rude because I've not yet come round to say hello and he is blind and can't read my cards of poetry. Or I would write him poetry, and he lacks a smartphone, so he needs me to ring on the landline telephone, but it takes me days, months of courage to pick up the landline to ring him, and then he doesn't pick up, and he doesn't have an answer machine. Cuts have emasculated the provision of public safety, deregulation, privatization, and cuts serve to a violent idea that is neoliberalism. The buildings were always beige and rotting. Damp scored down the building. The wait for the light bulb to turn on is beginning to shake me. This room is seldom of light. We shed our words here, hands against us. It's too precious to talk. I'll speak for you when they tell us to walk down the steps. We let go of our fingers, frozen with the tapped out letters bound along our lips, our teeth, our tongues. Rummaging voices knocked down like shells in brick, remembering the way that they bound us. Because they've already chosen this design, mothers, babies first, and then the tide, it takes us to the left. And these holes that we're digging in the snow, no longer woven with play and promises, they are made for our fresh souls. New bodies tumble in first, then ours. They fall in slow, land like we are lighter than air. And the earth that falls on us, they prison in the light. Through trees we hear the birds. The shovels are sharp in their tapping. And here we are the prisoners to earth. And trees grow around our unmarked graves. And many still open as prey to the wild. And we are not midnight black or Persian brown, but golden sunshine. We are children once at play, at the wrong time of day. And they saw the soldiers come this way, with our parents in the villages, their lives shattered by smoke. Smoke hits us as we lay in our shallow graves. I don't know if I want to go on, but anyway, that was one of them. It does go on for a long time, I don't want to get, it's fine. I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was so dark. I don't realize that my writing is that dark until I read it and then think, oh no, it's a bit dark. Sorry.
No, I'm loving it. We're transfixed here. Please carry on.
Are you sure?
Please,
Yeah. Well, Richard's the boss. Richard's the boss.
Last Richard, yeah. Are you?
let's have another one.
Okay.
Carry on.
Yeah, read another one.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay.
I'll tell you another one, Elinor.
I am finding it. I'm so sorry. I've got a scroll thing. Right.
Sorry.
Okay. This one is called Outside My Hands Are Clapping. Outside my hands are clapping, clapping hands. I feel so ill, outside my hands are clapping. The windows are open and I feel the air on my mouth as I lick out my tongue. Taste, a life, a life. Outside my hands are clapping, clapping hands. My mouth is open like my eyes were when I entered this world, wet and frightened and covered in my mother's blood. Away from the world with her arms in a way that I would not let you when then life for life is the same as the life we go to when my eyelids are heavy. I see the mirror soul as it should, as this house burns to the ground, as this life burns to the ground, and offered me your arms. I'm now hot without them, knowing I leave everything that meant the most to me, the most. Do you feel me love you? Take my tongue, my nails, they scratch you down your back. I am not here, you know, but you are though. I watch you sometimes when you sleep. I watch you when you're awake. And I remember the crease I made in the bed as well. As well, I used to be here too. Do you remember? I feel you now. I make you cold. I'd never used my body like the way it was to be lived in. I'd never used my body the way it was to be here. I'd never lived in my body the way I'd lived in this house. All material things, all material things. A bed with one side tucked, a beating heart, under skin and veins and warm. The heat only here, the rest cold as I had been. An object gathering dust, a story only with the projection of hopes and dreams to soothe down worries. We buy more objects. We are the objects. We hide in the objects instead of feeling. I tuck and trunk. I fold myself up amongst jewels and clothes. I watch the moths feast bright. I long for torch that I swing open on the ground, and ashes in a bed, and ashes that was you. But you'd smell the smoke you'd escaped, and I'm alone in the dark. I'm not lived in, nor but murmur slow. Hello, hello, hello. It wasn't meant to be sad. It's about autism. Sorry. About how I feel in my body. Thank you.
Thank you.
But okay, because with us next comes all of the way from Norfolk, and her name is Han Young.
I've only got one coming because I can't find the other one. So, I wrote this at the beginning of your a tone. Mother, I'm so sorry for humanity's disrespect. I don't blame you for getting so upset. With our cruelty, greed, and thoughtless acts, we gave you little choice but to things were really getting out of hand with too much rampant, not to mention all the plastics, near extinction of our native beasts. You tried fire and flood, hoping we'd listen to a little toughened love. But all we did was cry about our livelihoods and how we had no access to services, and we had heeded your wisdom and advice, trying harder to be nice. Now our human nature has caused a monstrous disaster, leaving you no choice after. So, whilst most of us are still isolating at home, fearless animals are exploring gardens, free to roam. Now your body is no longer under toxic pressure. The city air is much cleaner, and I hold up that when this pandemic is finally over, humanity will learn that global greed isn't stand, that this planet is just ours unknown. And promise, Mother, every day to do better.
Wow. Brilliant.
Oh, I'm hot now.
Good night, Anne. Welcome to you. Congratulations for coming all this way from Norfolk. I don't understand broadband, really poor. I've got somebody on the screen who's like to myself a iPad. Right, hello iPad, would you like to turn your microphone on and tell us if you'd like to read a poem or two?
You go back to
Who?
No, you're staying still?
Who?
Richard, I think it's your turn.
iPad. Okay, so I can perhaps invite together 2012 and also figures the poems. I tell you, you'll have to turn your microphone on, Drew.
Sorry,
Thank
Richard,
you.
were you speaking to me? I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, Richard, you broke up.
You might need to type in the.
Next speaker.
What did you say, Richard? We
There's
can't
no
hear
voice.
you.
We can't hear you.
Richard, can you type it in
My
the chat?
sound is obviously about 10, but I think that
Richard, you're completely broken up. We're not getting anything.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
I tell you what, Richard, was it my turn? Give us a wave.
I can't hear you, Joe.
Oh no, we can.
Oh,
Richard,
no.
is it your turn?
Okay, I'm going to go for this and hope
Yes.
that's what Richard wants.
Yes.
Can everybody else hear me? Brilliant. So this was...
Could you turn your volume up for us? Thank you.
How about that?
It is okay.
Okie doke. So this is called a cocoon is a miraculous creation containing everything needed to survive. A grub is reborn in blissful unconsciousness, emerging with unimagined abilities, soaring on wings to a richer, new life ahead. Caterpillars do not lose their rights when they enter into their cocoons. Caterpillars do not have to prove larvae status in order to eat. Caterpillars do not have to worry about how to wash their hand splints. Caterpillars do not struggle when they try to make a phone call. Caterpillars are not abandoned without masks and gloves for their carers. Cocoons are insulated against dealing with officialdom. Cocoons do not rock with emotion nor shake with fatigue. Cocoons do not crack with every essential delivery. Cocoons do not splinter with every essential, not lives perhaps permanently on hold. Cocoon can clear up after your assistant's dog in safety. Cocooned is not being enraged by reckless politicians and the selfishness of people sauntering past your front door. Cocooned is not always missing the people you care about. Cocooned is not being in fear for the lives of those you love. Cocooned is not having rows with the panic every time the doorbell rings. Cocooned is not being breathless with pain as you cope alone. Cocooned is not being ever watchful for approaching death. Shrouded round in dread, we are not cocooned, we are suspended. And the other one is called Quality of Life. Is the sound good enough, by the way?
Yes, very good.
Great. So this is another one when I was feeling quite ranty and frustrated, quality of life, and it's about the way that our lives are financially judged by the state. How much is my life worth, and how can I tell? If it's costed by symptoms, you see, not the value it has if you roll around on wheels. Even a businessman making big deals. There's a further discount if you can't hold your wee, even if you're an active MP. If you can't see too far or simply can't hear, your life is not considered so dear. There's more off if you need support from another, even if you are a competent mother. And people with pain say so. The government you need to live. Your life must be perfect to gain a... If you can't leave your house, then your value is cheap. The state won't spend much money for your life to keep. And maybe that's one reason more people die of COVID-19 in the UK. And I am afraid of the verdict if I become ill. Before I sleep, I have miles to go still. Whoever we are, we're all more than our labour. Yet whoever we are, our lives are still judged on our cold market value, not how much we're loved. These slavery values must come to an end. What kind of child and a wife? How can a price be placed on their life? The values that matter are those we all share. How much we give and how much we care. It's timelessity that matters the most. Thanks.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Joe. Right, I'm reading two now. Right, I think it started over here, right in spring, and now summer. And this is spring poem. It's called My Intention. But here now, the magnolia tree up the hill is at its best, bloom on the white background, kindly like the letters. A little further on, two magnolias in woodland are at their best, standing crooked in front of a blue house, painted to look like Greece. Coming back around our block, a magnolia tree close to home may be at its best. The untidy green edge in front of it stands to hide its glory. Some 12 months on, magnolia trees will still be there, blooming at the best. My intention, I will walk, photograph them when released from isolation. Thank you. So the next one is called Nectar. And as classicist, and just want to drinking nectar and this concerns of a relationship. Let me hear chords strong on silk, soothing hard times have come to fear. Let me suck straws of honey milk, behind all memories still held dear. Let me hear harmonium strum, pointing out new exotic lands. Let me drink gentle gods, themes to strike up his finest bands. Let me hear my love song, singing of imagined peace and power. Let me laugh at light and strong in this last hushed, remembered hour. Let me speak well of the you I loved, along roads we always walked. Let the iron fist dressed in velvet gloves, laying to rest the bad times we once taught. Let me rest in peace in place of you, learning the words that make me seem clever. Let birds sing except white doves that coo beneath a sun. Blue skies go with you forever. I thank you. But you're too kind. But so we can start our circle again, perhaps with one poem each, calling in Mr. Andrew Ray. Andrew.
Okay. Well, this poem's called June, and it's called Era Litha Summer's Eve. 9 runes on a rope, crafting spells, longest day time. All door for door wilt soon come. It be drawing near. A ton of fires will be lit on high hills close by. Nearby the smithy, the fire, his ally. While dung carts while a dunging and a harrowing, digging up weeds, maybe crafting within his thatched workshop, the shimmering, billowing from the top. Formed inner pit hut by the central fire to inspire. Dragon's final rune begins to take shape, with spell well cast. Smithy's hut is sunk into Mother Earth, his hammer and anvil have given birth. No spells now it will take to blunt this bright blade. The power of dragon will not ever fade. This Draka in Anglo-Saxon, Draka, and here Anglo-Saxon alphabet, as would have been done on an Anglo-Saxon sword to give it magical powers.
Andrew, do you mind if I take a picture of you?
No, please do.
I think that's fabulous. See if you can hold it still. Oh, there you are. Wow. I promise the rest of you I didn't take a picture of anybody else.
Take the picture on with the...
Just the wooden sword, but I couldn't resist painting it up like that.
Brilliant.
So Simon can hear us. I would like to read another one.
Really good. Let's have a go with one I wrote called Porn Clouds. If I stored my documents in a cloud, wouldn't they get wet? And if there was no took out the power, would I lose my words forever? Lost, hacked, forgotten, is server better protected than I trapped, and through sensors raw data. Your life is raw data, not Queenums nor Brobdinagical mathematical mind that live in the clouds, that use online power during COVID activity, the groin of interconnection to an understanding of the cloud. And don't forget the grid, power cut, lights out, and I'll be glad I have the paper. Thank you.
Nice one, Simon. And Gwyneth, where's Gwyneth? Gwyneth, are you ready with another one?
Yes, I've got one here called Promises. It's disturbed by the words of deluded politicians. My childhood was spelling out promises of what could be nature's challenge. I'd sleep or wake to the rhythm of the sea, calm or wild, a reassuring reality, rouse swelling seas, constantly challenging the power of land. A skilled pilot guided his ferry carefully through the narrow channel between jagged rocks and sinking sands towards the safety of the ocean. My politicians would. That's it.
Just Gwyneth.
I've just read a poem, Richard. Did you miss it? So it's somebody else's turn now.
Yes, somebody else's turn. Somebody is Wendy Young.
Sorry?
Wendy, you need to turn your microphone on.
Sorry, I'm muted, sorry. This is another one that, an inspiration by Highgate Poetry Group about the pandemic, and also by Richard and Bob Dylan, called Isolation Row. I'm all fed up, I feel mighty real, I feel mighty all fed up, I'm the real slim lady, shimmy, shimmy, shaking and lately fading of the shady flat. Faddy, fuddy, duddy, housework, wads of whitewash for floors and tops. What's it all for? No mop, except on my head. Why bother on Isolation Row? What's that about a furlough? Oh no, let's be clear. I feel it's madness coming on. Furlough, oh got you, not furlongs. Cutters in bough from a branch, but off from work. We back at the ranch. The new furlough curfew, mother flouter, broken like a bow down dominator meter, no fewer than 2. Brace yourself, race to change. Will it do any good? Wearing masks is the new hood. Sowing deeds, pleasing needs, smoking bliff. And I'm going to finish it there, be fair to do it all, because there's not much time.
If you've got the virtual video on, maybe turn that off. It might be eating your data.
I thought that.
It is, because my laptop is nearly broken under this lockdown because of all the data. So I think it might be the virtual video.
Okay, I've not got Julie from you, Julie MacNamara. Yeah, one more, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can. Yes.
Thank you. Sorry, I suffer from the same weak signals in a cold spot here in Hackney. Not sure this is a poem or not. Do you know what? I'm going to read it out, and then I'm going to try and just sing a few lines to you and see what you called Messy Ever After. You and me, we're getting tight. Now the world and her unholy wife want inside our tiny lives. So we just gotta chase away the blues. We just gotta chase away the blues. Let's jump into the raging flow. Life's too short. I was never up for hooking. So we're chasing down the battered blues. We just gotta chase away the blues. We will never fade ever after. Rolling mud with love and laughter. We just don't have to sink into these blues. Don't let's get lost inside the blues. I don't know yet where it's going, but it's on its way. You're my first.
Superb singing voice of Julie MacNamara, which can only lead us back to Michelle Baharier.
Hi, so I'm going to read this one. It's called Hysteria. It's official. Hysterical laughter. I live in Bulgaria and pass on bacteria. I have bulimia. I pass on listeria through kisses on the lips, dripped in saliva, dripping like melted chocolate on a fondue fountain. Twinkles bright in the light. Still hysterical, mystical, religious. The breeding of wisteria and emotional hysteria in favour of irrational lies.
Brilliant.
There you go. Thank you.
Okay. Cheers, Michelle. This is Denis Herbstein. Come in, Dennis, with a poem.
Me now.
Yeah.
Okay. Just can you get me right there, Betty? I can't see. Hold on.
No, it's not come when you stop talking.
The poems. It is a translation I did from.
This as well. Okay.
Hold on.
There you go.
Where? Okay. This is a poem I translated from the Afrikaans, which is a language spoken by the oppressors in South Africa. They still speak it, but they're no longer oppressors, whose father was an oppressor. He was a parliament for the terrible National Party. And she was a renegade poet who eventually committed suicide at about the age of 20, shot by soldiers in Nyanga. Nyanga is one of those black townships like Lunga around Cape Town, where the difference between the way of life between us whites and blacks was truly remarkable. So the poem goes, it's okay, better leave it. The child is not dead, a mother who shouts Africa, shouts for the taste of freedom and the felt. The child raises her fists against her father as the generations passes and blood in the streets of their garrisoned pride. The child is not dead, not in Lunga, not in Nyanga, not in Orlando, not at Sharpeville, not at the police station in Phil. The child is in the dark shadow of the soldiers. The child is at all the meetings and lawmakings into the hearts of mothers. The child who only wanted to play in the sun, who has become a woman, has journeyed through the whole of Africa. The child who's become a giant has traveled across the immensity of the world without a pass. I said,
last poet was Denis Herbstein, and I'm now going to ask Anna Mickiewicz to read another poem for us.
I will be reading a poem about Yevtushenko. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Yevtushenko was he died 2 years ago. He was a poet, Russian poet, a member of the democratic opposition from Russia. He was very well known in America. I used to love his poetry. Yevtushenko. The dawn. New ideas were floating in the air. A generation tainted by the pain of parting with the unsettled soil. They lost the battle with frosty days and moved back into uncertainty, into silence. A new time has arrived with its irritating stillness, with crystal tears. Now they look into the eyes of the old pages and they dream. Thank you.
Did Yevtushenko only died 2 years ago? All right. He must have been very old.
Yeah, he was old, but he was still writing. He was very sort of not in a bad condition.
He was a real
but unfortunately, yeah, his poetry is very well known and very good, I think.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to Elinor.
Hey, hi. This is
Okay.
called Childhood.
Oh, this is the
Souls float like stowaways inside a pool immersed in the echoes of an involuntary dance. Sorry. They play dead on the rocks and lose themselves in a tumbling sea. Then a heart opens and out you escape with freed birds to the calls of life, and you will survive. Friends are there and then they are gone, spirited away like childhood, unfastened, drawn back into your dreams. You come under your arms. The silence vibrates like a reed on your tongue, like the aftermath of a kiss on the silver line of playfulness between us. Everywhere you go, you are called by the mountains and the snow, guarded by an oceanic mystery that freezes into ice mirrors which hum with the force of gas and fire. Imagined paper, imagined hot air balloons filling a turquoise sky. I see it all happening in your eyes, and you do not see me noticing. You want to remain unseen. You knew nothing of me until it crept out of my mouth, spilled out guts on a fisherman's floor. I told you words, hooked in a mind with a sharp wire thread that sews up the spaces and tears the light in half. I scrape your cheek down a gravel surface street. My hand runs down it, soothes your grazed skin, but you are not wounded. I slip, you observe. About human love, we play our lives on black and white keys, strum it on strings, read it out like a set of instructions without rhythm, file it in a library of broken books or a room encased with foam. I'm watching you in your mind, washing thoughts away, watching me from the side, from the corner of your eye. Swiftly you end conversations. Moments are cut down to and torn apart on a tide that breathes on the surface of the sand. Your eyes dart to mine, to the table, to the floor, and then they look away to play a billion symphonies.
Wow.
That seems to affect everybody, Elinor. Well done. All of the way from those famous Norfolk Broad, wondering if you might any help for us.
I didn't get that. What was that? What did you? I'll read what I posted. Yeah. Hello. Okay. Okay. I wrote this for a friend who got diagnosed with cancer just before the lockdown. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. This virus will not destroy us, but it may test the limits of our love, as so many of us are torn apart, and only safe distance words and laughter can touch our grieving hearts. Social shielding, self-isolation, following, tough words for this generation of the new world for being my only time and a new normal can begin to expand away our shared pandemic of pain. Stay safe, be strong, as the loneliness ravishes us silent rooms that used to sing with love. They will fill again, my lovely lonely friends, because our worlds are destined to collide again and again. And
And June 19.
I actually wrote this poem last year about another coronavirus where I went to an arts council meeting at the Barbican. Every single person there came back with a really bad cold and cough. Everybody's workplace got it. Some people got it twice. And that wasn't even covered, but it was a good reminder of just how, you know, ferocious these things can be. Is that sound level okay,
Yeah.
by the way?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So this is called Losing My Voice. I had my voice when I left home, but as soon as I began to roam, my voice just seemed to fade away, no matter where or what I say. My voice is not the same as yours. My voice must therefore be ignored. My voice is not a valid one when everything is said and done. It isn't heard by passers-by. It isn't heard by those on high. It isn't heard by those who claim to speak to people in my name. It isn't heard with all the rest. It isn't heard when I protest. It isn't heard although I say you can't erase me in this way. Speak up, shout out is what we're told. Go forth, be strong and very bold. And yet the only ears that hear are those that venture very near. So listen closely for the sound. Millions of voices echo round, stole regardless of the cost. Thank you.
Sorry, they don't come to regular meetings.
Okay, it's my turn again. This is a poem written for all of those we will survive. It's called Don't Die Yet. Don't die yet. There's stuff which I'll forget, like the sound of your brush coming down, sweeping past ears that hear your every breath. So don't go yet, not to death, not with life and love still aching for time, experience, and all these yets to come to be. These things exist between you and me, so don't die yet, not just yet, not yet. Right, and something I intended to do whilst I was isolated was to kind of learn and practice poetry forms. And like all of us, I didn't get around to doing what I intended until last week, when I discovered a poetry form called Blitz. This is how a blitz works. A stitch in time, a word in rhyme, a rhyme in time, a rhyme these lines, line these miles, line the streets, streets ahead, streets alone, alone this thread, alone the dead. Dead despised, dead we rise, rise again, rise and climb, climb the stairs, climb a rail, rail against, rail, don't fail, fail me not, not again, not apart, apart from what, apart from who we fight, who is right, right this wrong, right the might be strong, might be wrong, wrong the wrong, wrong the strong, strong we are, strong will be our sight. Free to speak, speak for you, speak for me for one, me with two, 2 times 2, 2 times more we are, more we score, score for us, score for all and all for all. Thank you very much. So, but I've got 10 minutes of our allotted time left. I'm happy for anybody to jump in. I'm happy for you to chat amongst yourselves. In the next 10 minutes, I'll be waiting 2 hours to go to a loo. So excuse me, talk amongst yourselves.
I did forget to mention one thing. I got some funding to pay poets. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but we don't have a lot of funding. But we'd like to pay poets £6 a poem on our website, or £12 a personal essay, as long as it's over about 300 words for the personal essay. There's no word count. And I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but anyway, just wanted to let you know that that's available on Magical Women if you're interested. I'm always completely blown away by the poetry here. So yeah, and you'd keep complete copyright is another thing. So we wouldn't take any copyright with
what kind of website?
So, yeah.
Could you please tell more about this website?
Oh, it's not really a website. We create relaxed spaces for neurodivergent and survivor autistic artists to make art, and a bit like online studios really, but then we also publish writing, but it's uncensored. So I don't edit any of the work, but what I do is curate it onto the page against other people's artwork. So your poem might be exhibited alongside another photographer or artist's work unless you have your own artwork. So yeah, thanks.
Can I just say thank you very much to everybody? I'm so sorry, I've got to go and eat something. Don't die yet. Thank you.
Bye.
Evening. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, lovely to see everybody and hear everyone's poems. Great.
Brilliant.
Cheers, Julie.
No surrender.
Cheers, Simon.
No, exactly.
Richard.
So it's all gone quiet.
Richard.
Hope everybody's had a good time tonight at this special one-off Demics celebration for the Highgate Festival. It would be nice to see you all again. I can see Simon waving goodbye. Goodbye, Simon.
Bye. Yeah, Richard.
And Patricia and Dennis waving. Elinor, Anna, Wendy, Michelle, Andrew, Gwyneth and Young, Drew Gosling, Alicia Pivaro. We didn't see you, but time to say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Richard, Richard, can I say something?
Let's see it.
Hello, Richard.
Yes.
Where did you get all these great poems?
You can say something, but I hope it's not to me, Dennis, because my hearing's really bad tonight.
Type it,
Yeah,
Dennis.
I've got
You
friends,
can
I've got
type it in the
contacts,
chat.
I've got
In the
people
chat.
that I love and people I respect.
Oh, where'd you get all these great poems? Question mark.
Yeah, you can type it into the chat box.
Yeah.
And then if people can't hear, they can read it.
Hello, Patricia.
I'm going to say good night to everybody. Lovely to
Goodbye,
see you.
Wendy. Goodbye, Jude.
Hear everyone's
Goodbye, Anne.
poems.
Goodbye,
What?
Michelle. Goodbye, Andrew. Goodbye, Anna.
Bye.
Goodbye.
That was really
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Richard.
Great night, Richard. Thanks.
Good night.
Night.
Richard.
Good night.
Bye.
Night,
Bye,
Wendy.
Anne. Nice to meet you. Bye,
Bye.
Andrew. Lots of love.
Wendy.
Love to have a cup of tea sometime.
I know, I'd love you to come over for a cup of tea.
Oh,
Where do you live?
well, hmm?
Where do you live?
Kensal Green.
Kensal Green. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you can probably do it on the overground.
Oh, don't know if I dare yet. When it's safe, maybe.
A bit of a distance though.
Have you got a witch's broom? You
I
must a
have
broom.
this one, yes. I made from apple clippings.
Well, that would be handy, wouldn't it? All right, I have to go because somebody who's just doing, you know, Janice and Donald.
No.
Donald Dempsey and Janice Dempsey. She's doing a trial, so I said, well, I'm committed to Highgate poetry, and so I'll jump over now. So thanks a lot. Bye, Gwyneth.
Bye.
Bye. Lovely to hear you as always. Bye. Bye, Richard. Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye, Gwyneth.
Right, I'm going to sign out too. So thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
Wendy.
Thanks, Richard, for organising that. And see you again. So bye. And leaving.
It's a pleasure, Andrew. I hope you had a good time. But I hope you enjoyed it, Alicia. Haven't ever met you. Hope to meet you sometime in future. Take care.